This about what was an amazing night a couple weeks ago, celebrating the 30th anniversary of this very radio show. Just a little while ago, we spoke to Peter Criss, who was one of the big headlines to come out of the night, him reuniting with this guy for the first time in 13 years, another old friend, the great Ace Frehely. What's going on, buddy?
Trump, 30 years in radio. Jesus Christ.
I don't look a day over 48, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking, how many times have I done your show over the years?
You know, Peter was talking about that earlier because he said that was one of the reasons it was so important for him to do this, which I appreciate. But Peter was talking about when he did my show back around right around 83, because his daughter was at the party and she was 5 at the time and she's like 32 now. So it's amazing when you think of the time frame. And I don't know, you and I probably started right around that same time as well.
It just seems like it was yesterday you were running me around for interviews, for my first Frehely's Common album.
And if you read Ace's book, and you should have, you'll know the story about how I sobered him up with fish sandwiches that's in the book.
You're killing me.
Well, listen, man, I just want to say on the air as well, I can't thank you enough for being there, and I can't thank you enough for playing. And, you know, Peter talked a lot earlier about how special it was and the magic he felt and how important it was for him to do it, not only for me in this show, but also he seems so happy to have reconnected with you. How was it for you?
It was great. It was great. I mean, I hadn't realized that 13 years have gone by since me and Peter played together.
Yeah, it is crazy, but I guess that would be about right. 2000 was when you left Kiss. And he stuck around for a couple more years.
Yeah, I left. I wasn't fired.
Right. Well, that's why I said you left.
Oh God.
Do you need to tell us what it was like for you going into this, because Peter said to me, you know, he was a little apprehensive because of his book and he didn't know how you were going to feel, and he said it was amazing that you gave him a hug and it was like no time had passed and you guys spent a lot of time talking, I know, before you even came out and jammed. What was that like?
It was great. I mean, me and Peter have been through so much stuff together, ups, downs, and we were on the merry-go-round together, And, I mean, he threw me under the bus a little in his book, but I mean, what are you going to do?
So, I mean, for you, did you feel the energy? I told Peter that I thought that the vibe in the room when you guys both came out together, to me, was very similar to when you first came out together during the Unplugged taping in 95, when you both walked out on stage together. The place, to me, the Hard Rock that night went up with the same sort of energy. Did you feel it was that powerful?
It was great. I mean, there was electricity in the air. I mean, I had reconnected with a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time backstage. I mean, it was just a very special night. Me and Rachel just had a wonderful time.
Well, that's everybody had a wonderful time. I mean, from the people that played to the people that were in the room to everybody that was there. And, of course, all the other musicians that were there coming out watching you guys do your thing. What was it like talking? I mean, you and Peter were locked in Johnny's office for like 5 hours while everybody else was playing. What was that like? Peter said it kind of turned into a meet and greet back there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, people were coming. We took a lot of photographs with people. Every 5 or 10 minutes, somebody new would walk in, and we'd have to get up and do a photo. But, I mean, that's our job, When you're a rock star, you got to do that.
And did you guys have a lot of time to talk? I mean, Frankie from Anthrax told me that one of the coolest moments for him was during the rehearsal when you walked onto the stage and you saw Peter and you just kind of looked at him and you said, hey, what's up, Cat? Like no time had gone by. That was really a heavy moment for him. Did it feel like that to you? I mean, did you have to spend some time reconnecting, or is it just picking up where you left off?
Peter actually came back after sound check to my hotel room to freshen up with Gigi and his daughter.
So you guys had a chance to spend some time together.
I mean, come on, me and Peter have had fist fights, we've been through the gamut of emotions, with each other, but above and, beyond all the bullshit, we're still brothers in rock and roll,
Yeah, he was amazed. Peter was amazed. He was telling me at how he was able to just, jump up there and sing and play again because he hadn't done it in a while, and he did a few run-throughs. But he kept saying to me afterwards, I didn't know if I had that in me, So I think he kind of surprised himself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing for me was just effortless. It was a pleasure, and, I'm so glad I could be there for you, Ed.
Yeah, well, I can't thank you guys enough, man. It was really, really special. And I'll ask you the same question I asked him, Ace. One of the things that came out of this that a lot of fans have said to me is, I know you went out and toured with Peter together. I guess it was about 98, 99 or something like that. You did that Bad Boys tour, but now you guys are obviously in a different place. I'm not saying would you ever tour together, but now that you guys have mended whatever bridges and reconnected and all that, would you consider maybe even doing a song with him or going and doing something with him at some point musically?
I don't see that happening at this juncture. I'm working on a new CD. I'm working on my second book, and, I'm going in a different direction.
Tell me about the record. How far along are you with it?
I'm more than halfway through the record. I'm doing a follow-up to No Regrets. I'm going to call it Some Regrets. No, I'm just kidding.
Why, that's a great name. You should do that.
Oh, Some Regrets. No.
I think that's great. What are you going to, where are you going to take this book? Is it going to be more of a continuation or just stories you couldn't fit in the first one?
I mean, I was brain dead for so many years. Now I just celebrated 7 years sober on September 15th. But when I was finishing up the book, it kind of like opened up the floodgates for old stories that I had suppressed, and I wrote down so many ideas that didn't even make it in the book. And since then, that was a couple of years ago when I was finishing up the book. So many new stories have come to light. I've spoken to a lot of old friends and people I toured with, so on and so forth. So, I mean, it's like, I got enough for 2 more books. Easy.
Oh, when I read your book, that was the first thing I thought, too, because I was like, hell, I could write an entire book just on my time with Ace, and that doesn't, that's post the 70s. So, I mean, the stories I have, the fish sandwich thing is just one of them. I mean, you could easily do 2 more books if you start getting these stories coming back to you like you say they are.
God, yeah. I mean, when I read Peter's book, it's like, Christ, he opens up the book where he's got a gun in his mouth. I mean, when you buy Peter's book on Amazon, you go down to the bottom of the page and it says people who bought this book, bought a stool and a rope,
But I loved Peter's book because it was so, he put it all out there like that. I mean, he really spoke for, anybody who knows Peter, he speaks from the heart, man. And and I thought that was reflected in his book as well.
Yeah, he forgot to say that him and Paul were chronic masturbators too. We used to trade Hustlers and Playboys and Penthouse magazines with each other.
Well, you guys can all write. I understand Paul's writing a book too, so you guys can all continue to. It'd be nice if you could communicate more than through the books, though, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do from time to time. Paul. What did Paul say not that long ago in the press that we were never really friends?
Yeah, well, they've said a lot of stuff. Do you want to address any of that?
I just thought it was hysterical. I mean, I lived with the guy for years. We exchanged Christmas presents, and he's telling me he's not my friend.
Yeah, well, listen, there's a lot of things that strike me as strange, and I have my theories on it. But, I mean, you guys were actually not only just a couple years ago, you told me you actually spent a lot of time talking to him, as a matter of fact, didn't you?
Well, we had reconnected on the phone. I mean, I remember when Gene was doing his roast, I called Paul and we were talking about, I go, Paul, you going to do it? I called Peter, Paul said it wasn't in his comfort zone. Peter said he didn't want to do it, So, I bowed out gracefully, but, and then, we talked a few other times after that, and I called him when I was in L.A. when I was doing the dime bag thing, the Rock Walk of Fame.
Right.
But the last couple of years, we really haven't touched base as much.
So what do you think is going on here, Ace? Because